We are learning more about the small bus company whose driver is charged with slamming into slowed traffic on 95 in Stafford County last week. That crash killing 5 people and injuring more than 40 others.
Yeah, federal authorities filed a subpoena in New York to seek the driver's licensing and training records. And as Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Carey reports, personal injury attorneys are also analyzing the crash and warning of challenges ahead for the victims who might want to file civil lawsuits.
State police and NTSB investigators still conducting their detailed examination of the bus involved in the deadly crash on I-95 in Stafford on Friday. The bus was operated by a small company, E&P Travel from North Carolina, that started business in November of 2023. It had 4 buses and 11 drivers. The Department of Transportation now also sending this subpoena to New York officials seeking bus driver Jing Dong's records. The subpoena demands documents detailing his application and training for his CDL or commercial driver's license. Yesterday, Dong was indicted on additional charges and now faces 5 counts of involuntary manslaughter in the deaths of a family of 4 and a young woman. Dozens were also injured in the crash and 3 people remain hospitalized, including Dong. We know the criminal case against the bus driver will be handled here at the Stafford County Courthouse, but this is also where other civil lawsuits could be brought. In Virginia, families of those who were killed or people who were injured have about 2 years to file their case.
This is catastrophic for so many people, and I can't. It's an unimaginable loss. It's terrible.
That's Northern Virginia attorney Dimitri Pikrolidis. He specializes in personal injury cases and represented a woman injured in her vehicle a decade ago when a bus crashed on the GW Parkway. He says in his experience, there can be challenges ahead for victims who might want to file civil lawsuits and get to the bottom of who's responsible for the company.
It was basically a shell game trying to find out really who owned the bus and who managed the bus and where the insurances were.
Inspection records kept by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration shows E&P Travel buses were involved in a crash in North Carolina back in August of 2024, in which there were injuries. There are 3 other speeding violations noted, and News 4 has learned of a 4th when Jing Dong was ticketed in Maryland this spring. There's also a citation for a driver who was not proficient in English, but we don't know who that driver is. Ed Jaslowicki also sees red flags with this bus company. His Connecticut firm has handled more than a dozen bus crash lawsuits in the last decade. He's already started to dig into E&P Travel's DOT records.
First thing that strikes me is they have an apartment as the main office. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, they're very small.
He's also concerned with the limited amount of insurance coverage reflected in the records.
It lists the minimum coverage is $5 million, and that's what they have. And $5 million is totally inadequate.
Both attorneys emphasizing these are very early days after the crash, too early to know what lawsuits will develop. But they also know from experience the victims' lives will be changed for years to come by the impact of the crash. In Stafford, Virginia, I'm Carey, News 4.
News 4 has reached out to E&P Travel numerous times, and we have not heard back. One other note, a defense attorney for Jing Dong entered a guilty plea today in connection with a separate incident in Anne Arundel County. That one goes back to March, where Dong was cited for going 72 in a 50-mile-an-hour speed zone.